Hola clase. Today we are going to be learning about ER and IR verbs in the present tense. Okay, just a quick little review. Remember we talked about in class the other day that we have three different types of verbs. We have AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs, okay? Last week we learned about AR verbs, and this week we're going to dive into ER and IR verbs, which you'll see in just a second are very, very similar. Remember also when we conjugate any verb, we have to follow the same steps. So the first step to conjugating a verb is that we have to find the ending of the verb, which is the last two letters, so AR, ER, or IR, depending on what category of verb we have. Then we have to take that off. Once we do that, we have to add our new endings to the stem. Okay? And just to review, here are our AR verb endings that y'all learned last week. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. Okay, and just some examples right here. If I were to say yo and then have a blank with our infinitive hablar, and I need to conjugate this verb to go with this subject pronoun, we would add this ending to the stem, therefore making it yo hablo. If I say nosotros estudiar, I would have to take off this AR ending and add my ending that goes with nosotros, which is amos, making it nosotros estudiamos. Okay, so that's just a quick review. Now we're going to move on to our new ER and IR verb endings. So for ER verbs, here are the endings. We have O, which is the same as our AR verbs, ES instead of AS, E instead of A, hemos instead of amos, ace instead of ice, and in instead of an. Okay? So you can see that the only thing that changes from the AR verbs to the ER verbs is where the A was previously, all we have now is an E. Okay? So here we have some examples. So if I wanted to say yo and then some form of comer, which means to eat, I would first of all take off my ER right here. I would be left with the stem, com, and I would just add my ending for yo, which is O. So it's yo como. Okay, and if I wanted to say nosotros beber, which is to drink, we would take off our ER, which is our ending, and be left with the stem, beb. Then we would just add our ending that goes with our subject pronoun nosotros, which is hemos, making it nosotros bebemos. Okay, so everything is pretty much the same except for the A changes to an E. Those are our ER verbs, endings. Okay, our IR verb endings are pretty much the same as our ER verb endings except for two conjugations. Okay, so if you'll see, the O is the same. If you're forming a verb or conjugating a verb in the to form, it is the same, ES. It is also going to be E for the LA usted form. However, for the nosotros and the vosotros form, you'll see that it changes, okay? Now, here is the difference. Instead of an E here, like we saw in the ER verbs, we are now going to replace it with an I, okay? And then lastly, we have the same EN. So the only two that change from ER to IR are the top two. Okay, the top dogs on the right change. So I'm going to flip back between the ER and the IR slides real quick, and you'll see that the only thing that changes are these two. Okay? See, the only thing that changes are these top two. All right? Everywhere else, they're the same. So I'll give you an example. If we wanted to say tu vivir, which means you live, we would just take off our ending of IR and then add our ending for tu, which is es, making it tu vives, you live. Same thing with asistir. We're going to take off our ending and add the correct conjugation that goes with ellos, which is en, making it ellos asisten, they attend. Okay, So this is pretty much the same exact concept as with AR verbs. The only thing you're going to do is you're going to have different endings. So for IR verbs, they're a little bit different than the ER verbs. Okay? But ultimately, they're all pretty similar in the fact that they all end in the same thing, just the vowels change. Okay? So those are our ER verbs and our IR verbs. Okay, and here are all of them. So you can see the similarities and the differences between all of our different types of verbs. Our AR verb endings, our ER verb endings, and our IR verb endings. You can see the similarities, and then you can see the difference. So actually something really good to do is you can either Google AR, ER, IR verb endings on, you can just Google it, and you can print out a sheet that looks like this. This would be really, really good to have in your notebook. Or if you want to, you can pause your screen and take a screenshot with the Windows button and the print screen button. You could actually print this out straight from your computer screen. I would suggest doing that, or just making sure that you have all of them in one place, which is really, really helpful. All right, you guys have a great day. I will see you in class. Adios.